Thank you. Thank you, Salma. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It is 10 o'clock, so I want to be respectful of your time and make sure that we get started on time and finish. We have a lot to cover. We have a lot of information and resources to share in regards to the PaCE implementation and support resources. My name is Olivia Sanchez. I am a training and development specialist. And as you heard, as the ticker went off, the session is being recorded. If you are seeing my mouth move and someone is contacting you and letting you know that they can't hear, please let them know that they could use the call me option for the audio if they're having computer issues. We will be using the Q&A feature to ask questions so that we can clearly make sure that we answer the questions and see the questions, and then they don't get bottled down by any other chat or anything like that. So the chat is disabled at this point. You can view any upcoming webinars on our PD page. They will be posted. This webinar too will be posted in about a week or so. And for those of you that are interested in any continuing education credits or any professional development hours, they will be available at the end of the presentation. So you'll see the link in this webinar as we navigate. So let's get started. We have a very heavy agenda, but before we get into the agenda and the pieces of it, we want to remind you and let you know, if this is the first time you're joining us and are not familiar with the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, a little bit about ISAC. We are a Illinois agency that provides Illinois students with information and assistance to help make education beyond high school accessible and affordable to our Illinoisans. We administer scholarships and grants to students across the state of Illinois. We're the biggest funder of scholarships. Well, we're one of the biggest funders in the state in regards to the MAP grants. And with regards to the training and development specialists or the training and development team, we provide professional development offerings on navigating the financial process and resources and support for any underrepresented students and understanding of any student loans, repayments, or forgiveness programs. So if you have questions in regards to that, we have a specific email that you could send us questions in regards to that. But we will be sharing out information in regards to questions that you may have from this presentation. So we are quite resourceful and we have quite a loaded agenda, as I've alluded to already. The agenda for today is 3 parts with subparts within it. We're going to go through 3 steps to implementing PaCE, and I know that many of you have already implemented PaCE, and so this is a reminder. We'll get into how you could expand on the implementation that you've already used to implement PaCE and the resources that are available. So we'll take inventory. From that, we'll go through a worksheet overview, get into some best practices and next steps that tie into step 2, which is prioritizing gaps, and get into what the worksheet overview looks like, the financial aid literacy domains, the 3 domains that are tied to the PaCE framework for high school: financial aid and literacy, post-secondary education exploration and selection domain, and then the career exploration and development domains. And then we will end with the last step, which is an action plan with the worksheets and some examples, and then some next steps associated with it and contact information. So let's start digging in. The first step is taking inventory. And then here is the worksheet information. The implementation team that gets together to be able to implement PaCE would be the one that access the literacy information, the career and post-secondary work that is currently being done within the school. And so, as I alluded to, this is something that you may already have in place. It may be a customized version of it. Whether it is a customized version or not, or it's adapted as is, you can still take inventory of what additional resources are available. The field in which we are in changes constantly, and so keeping inventory as to what new players are in your region, what new resources are available, if any have dropped off, and looking for additional resources. This will help to make sure and adapt the framework so that you can identify any strengths in any areas that need additional support and make new partnerships and start building relationships. When you take inventory, remember to consider which benchmarks are currently being met. And so, as I've said, if you've already implemented the PaCE framework, what is working for you? What is not? Where are you still deficient? Where are areas to grow? And then how well and how effectively are these benchmarks being met? With regard to the benchmarks, are there any that you haven't touched thus far that you may want to start exploring, or some that you can do a better job of evaluating, or bring on a second partner to continue to provide information within a specific domain or benchmark? And so this is what you want to take inventory. The actual worksheets, this is an example of what they would look like. We have them available on our PaCE page so that you can start to indicate and document. PaCE is the way I like to describe it, and it's not identified through our agency, but the way I like to describe it in terms of things that we may do as an organization is a strategic plan. So think of this as a sub-strategic plan within the programming piece that has to do with education. So as you do a SWOT analysis with a strategic plan, you're basically doing the same thing and reassessing it for PaCE. So you've been rolling out PaCE, you've done it, you're still indicating what degree of completion you have with each of the benchmarks, which are what percentage, and so you're still reassessing that. And the worksheets are good for assessing the percentage points or where you want to increase things and what partners you want to bring in. Who's not at the table? Who do you want to bring at the table? What other partnerships can you create? So this is basically the assessment that you're kind of looking for and the playing field through which you're building upon your PaCE framework. Within the worksheets, they all tie in different color coordination with regards to the domains in the actual high school framework. So the red is the literacy piece. In the benchmarks, it is a plain one, and there's an example of one on our website. The same thing for the post-secondary education exploration, preparation, and selection benchmarks. It's green, it ties into the same different colors, and you could tie it in and assess what you've already done. If you've taken the framework as is, what are the things that you need to keep data points on so that you can assess and see which ones you can, build on or work on. You don't have to work on all of them. You could start by a handful of them, 3 to 5, and maybe or increase if they're smaller benchmarks that you could assign to a person or that a group of people are already working on, maybe assign a few more so that you're expanding what your benchmarks are. Again, this depends on the school and the level of partnerships in which they have, the resources that they have, and the number of people that are part of implementing the plan. The other inventory worksheet is on career exploration and development benchmarks. Again, you could tie in what percentage you're already doing, how efficient you are, if there's a lack or if somebody moved out of the region and no longer has a partner that you can partner with to do career fairs or to do job shadowing or anything that has to do with career exploration and development benchmarks, then you could see what else that you could bring on, or who else you could bring on from that, maybe moved into a new business building or something like that. But there's always opportunities for growth. There may be opportunities even when partners leave. So we always want to be able to access that information. Some of the best practices in regards to the first step is, again, deciding the implementation team. Maybe when you first roll this out, there was a good amount of team, but maybe people have left, moved on to other positions, and now you're bringing on new staff. So how do you fill them in and get them to participate? New people means fresh blood, new thoughts, new processes. And so maybe something that you had tried in the past now is an opportunity to try. It's a new time. And so you can try something that was suggested in the past that maybe didn't work because timing was off. But maybe you could do it now. And you could do this to start rolling things out individually and start small, piloting something with a team member. Or you could roll this out in a group as a group effort that you can actually start to create meetings and start to develop things along that. The groups working within groups specifically around some of the benchmarks that are much more successful, I think is easier to do because you already have some of the traction with regards to the implementation of it and the data points for some of that. And so tweaking some of those benchmarks so that you can increase efficiency or the reach in which you're looking for, specifically when it comes to some of the community engagement pieces. Maybe one of those things. And then one person can focus on the individual relationship building to bring on new partners before you bring them into the bigger group. But these are things that you can do as a part of the implementation. And if you've been implementing this for some time now, some years, you have the expertise to be able to do this and you've done it. taking notes, making documentation, Google Docs and things like that so that other people can see what you've done, how you've reached out to people is a great resource to also implement for this so that you can achieve those benchmarks. Again, in case someone leaves, someone new comes on, they could go back and read those documents and be able to put in those practices. Everyone on the implementation team should be on the same degree of completion, assigning those benchmarks. The data that is available would be, designated as a degree to be completed portion of it. Keeping information with regards to some of the benchmarks if the implementation team cannot come to a consensus. Any, taking some time to be able to go back and circle back with a fresh mind is a good point and opportunity to do as you navigate things. And then again, creating that master set of steps, reassessing, reevaluating what's new, what's changed, what else can we bring on, who else can we bring to the table, what other relationships do we need to bring, and how can we expand this to some of the other things that we need to do that are outside of PaCE with other benchmarks with Illinois Board of Higher Education, the Illinois Community Board, with the other implementation pieces. So it's not just the PaCE, but other things that you're also going to expand upon. And then what are some of the next steps associated with that? Determining the date and the time for that implementation. When are the checkpoints? How often are we going to meet? When is this worksheet going to be shared? What notes are we taking? Is it available to everyone? How realistic is this time frame? Allowing the implementation team to have enough time to be able to reassess and not feel that they're being rushed into the different aspects of it. So as you're implementing PaCE throughout the year, making sure that there's notes that are being kept so that maybe at the end of the school year, you come together and say, okay, this is what worked. These are the numbers that we saw, and then start making changes for the new school year. Once the worksheet and the domain are completed, you want to select maybe 20 benchmarks to focus on as a priority. And you want to schedule those things. You could also schedule those prioritizing gaps implementation pieces with us so that we can help you with fresh eyes review that information so that you can have fresh eyes with the implementation piece. We've had contact with some of the schools that have said, we've been doing this for a number of years now, and we want to see if there's any specific trends or things like that that we want to be mindful of. While there aren't any that we've clearly seen, we are all going through and living through changes. And so where PaCE was when we first started to roll this out and where it is now is a completely new place, and there's additional resources and things that we can be able to implement. As we go into step 2 and start looking into the worksheet for prioritizing those gaps, we want to be able to identify them. Again, we've taken the inventory of what's new, what's changed within our sphere of our ecosystem on what we're implementing with PaCE. What else can we bring? What other inventories did we not see, or who's not at the table to be able to participate? And now we start to prioritize. What are the specific needs that the student population needs so that we could start honing in on those priorities and start identifying those benchmarks that can be addressed first, the relationships that need to be built so that we can start to roll out things. What are things that we are seeing in the forefront that maybe aren't pushing as urgent, but can take secondary or tertiary positions in order for us to be able to identify people that we can work on those relationships to then be able to start building those relationships so that we can start implementing additional benchmarks for to address some of these potential upcoming issues. There will always be an opportunity to pivot, but having those resources and starting to see and kind of plan out what might be in the forefront as a possible change are things that we can definitely do as we start to prioritize those gaps. For the benchmarks, we want to be able to document any activities that are a part of it. And then as we brainstorm and document potential activities, we want to improve that degree of completion. So if we were starting at maybe 25%, can we increase it by 1%? Would it be realistic to amp it up by 5% from 25 to 30%? Again, this all depends on the resources that the school has, how many people they have working on it, how resourceful the community area is, and who else we have as a champion on our team to be able to help us with advocating for a lot of these things. These are examples of some of the worksheets that you all are familiar with regards to prioritizing any gaps that we may want to implement with regards to PaCE. So again, you may want to take this and identify specific industries. Identify it by a worksheet by specific industry or by specific relationship or by specific benchmark, whatever would make it more feasible. These documents are examples of what we use in our thought process with regards to it. But if there's another thing that you've created or tweaked to make it work for you, this is completely up to you. Again, the emphasis is on making sure that you prioritize those gaps and make efficiencies within your institution. The best practices, not all benchmarks will require both the current and potential activities to be completed. As I said, some of these may be little tweaks, so you may already have some of the activities, but maybe it's streamlining that activity. If you've incorporated, more traditional means of activities where it's paper and pen, maybe you want to, move that onto a new sphere and make it more interactive through something that's more computer specific and not necessarily pen and paper. Or vice versa. Maybe it was on computer and now you want the students to do more writing pieces to be more reflective, again, depending on the activity. But you could change and tweak those benchmarks. Benchmarks that are not being met or that haven't been touched or that have been neglected because you focused on some of the higher priorities. You want to be able to see if these things that you've put off are now coming up to the forefront and things that need to be addressed as benchmarks for this current academic year and moving forward. Prioritizing gaps for long processes considers separating meetings and domains. Not everybody has to be at every meeting, but definitely having a place in which we all share documents and information and notes so the people who do not attend have access to be able to read those notes and be up to date with what was discussed in the meeting and what the next action plans were as a follow-up and when the next meeting is, so that you can have that cohesiveness and people don't feel like they're missing out and are participating, because even if they don't show up to a meeting for discussion on a benchmark, if they actively take notes and document what their suggestions are, plans, or whatever their part is in that prioritization workshop or worksheet, there is documentation so that everybody has access to be able to share that information. And this is a way in which you can encourage collaboration and discussion. Maybe it's not face-to-face and in person in a meeting, but in writing. And then consider resources and partnerships when brainstorming anything. Again, our world is always changing. There may be businesses that move from one geographic place to another or expand or completely shut down. And so there's always opportunities to be able to bring in new partners. In regards to the financial aid and literacy domain, some resources that are available for you. And some of you may be aware of this in regards to the College Changes Everything campaign and the College Changes Everything conference that we host in July. But our mission within the College Changes Everything, which is oftentimes by us referred to as CCE, it basically encourages students to complete their college and financial aid application. The schools can participate and organize different outreach events and conduct any college application workshops or financial aid workshops. And this helps to support specific benchmarks around PaCE with regards to attending a financial aid presentation workshop and then completing financial aid application by 12th grade, which is a designated time-sensitive benchmark within the PaCE framework. And the financial aid completion initiative that also, again, ties in well with the financial piece of this benchmark is, again, for us to be able to assist as a community, to be able to assist and identify students who have completed a financial aid or alternative application. ISAC administers the financial aid application for the alternative app, but we also do the interactive component within Gap Access for you to be on top of who's completed the financial aid application at your school. We are aware that there are some inconsistencies with the Gap Access portal with regards to the roster. And so we will continue to, work through and see if that can be mitigated. But for now, it's what we have, and it gives us some data points in regards to what that completion rate is, even if it is not completely 100% accurate. This initiative also promotes financial aid completion by providing data on the number of financial aid applications that have been submitted, so that it gives us some data points to what we can continue to work towards. Schools can upload their senior roster into the GAP Access to track their school completion. And with regards to the PaCE benchmark, this supports the financial aid application component of the benchmark by 12th grade. We also have Apply that has gone through a number of different name changes since I've been with the agency, but this is a great option for scholarship search for students that may be interested in renewing or looking through applications. If they've tried in 1 year and didn't get it, they could tweak that submission piece if the question is the same and then retry again. But this is a great resource for students. We have seen some applications that start not just in high school, but some of them start in middle school in 7th or 8th grade. So I would highly encourage you to be able to get familiar with this application search, because you could search by if you're the first in your family to go to college, by location, if you're specifically looking for scholarships in a specific location. And with regards to the PaCE framework, it supports the financial aid deadlines with regards to post-secondary options for students to be aware of it by 11th grade, and then the terms and conditions of any scholarship or loan, so that the so that the student is familiar with whether or not it's a renewable scholarship, if it's spread out over the 4 to 5 years of college, and then, for them to keep track of how they could do it. And we have examples on this slide in regard to some of the ones that we saw that I actually pulled up yesterday when I went through the portal. But you could look for them by specific industry as well. You could search by grade level, by, as I mentioned, first generation, by majors. And again, this supports the benchmark with regard to financial deadlines by 11th grade and some of the terms. So I'm repeating myself, but I am trying to also show you what the screen would look like in the student portal. You see the tab under scholarships, and then you go over and see, and there's a whole page of the different scholarships with different amounts, or it says vary if the amount varies from one, and then you could click on it to be able to see what information is relevant for that and what deadlines are coming up for it, so that students can apply with enough time and they're not rushing through things through senior year high school, and it gets spread out to scholarship search during the different years of school that they're in. We also continue to provide resource around Claim Your Future. Many of you are familiar with it. The ISAC core members also help to participate in this with throughout the year. And there is the wheel that's there. It's available online, and this gives the students some basic financial presentation information in 9th grade if you want to start rolling it out in 9th grade, so that they start to be familiar with budgeting and things like that are tied to that. So they could start looking, when they look into colleges and the cost of attendance, they know what that is and have some idea as to what the cost would be spread out over the 4 to 5 years that they would be in college. The Federal Student Aid Estimator is available, and it uses demographic and income information to help the students figure out their situation financially as they look to apply. And this can be something that can be done for juniors before they're seniors or sophomores, if they just want to look at it and see and get some idea as to what it would be. It could be a good activity, not just to do on their own, but a student to do at home with the parents, so that the parents have some idea as to what the possible costs would be, and so that they're not sticker shocked when they go into senior year and apply for the financial aid application and get the actual application back. This also follows the PaCE benchmark, and it helps in the students attend a basic financial aid presentation with a trusted adult by 9th grade. And as you can see from the screenshots, it's pretty straightforward. You'll find it on the studentaid.gov/aid estimator page, and then you could get started as soon as you click get started, so that you could input your information and get a quick glance. The monetary award program estimator, which is also available in our student portal, is a way in which you can calculate a student's estimated MAP award. It excuse the typo, because it should be the student aid index and not the estimated family contribution. This is a dated slide, and I apologize for that. But any information with regards to college interest and getting the student prepared for it. And with regards to the PaCE framework, it again continues to build upon that 9th grade financial aid presentation, so that the student is aware and can do this activity with an adult. There is a financial aid game in our student portal, And it has financial aid knowledge. There's 2 levels, the financial aid 101 and the advanced piece. As you can see that it's circled on the right side in the image, it's kind of like the Jeopardy piece. Um, if I have the game correctly, I haven't seen games in a minute, but if I remember correctly, that's what it was, where you ask the question to answer the number. And then again, this is still within the same timeline for the 9th grade with regards to financial aid and presentation with a trusted student, trusted parent. For the students, it's very easy to kind of go on and assess and kind of quiz yourself on what the student knows in regards to finance and start having discussions around that. Starting in 9th grade builds that knowledge so that they're much more aware by the time they get into 12th grade and apply for financial aid. There is a financial aid comparison worksheet that is also available. It helps students understand the components of the financial aid, the cost of attendance, the gift aid, and the federal work study and other programs and loans and things like that. It still ties into the financial aid piece of it, but this is by 12th grade so that they can have a better idea. By 12th grade, students are looking to apply and starting to look at some of the websites if they haven't already in regards to the cost of attendance at a particular school. And so this would give the students that information, so give them an estimated cost of that post-secondary option. And so it allows for both the student and the parents to make an educated decision in regards to not just the fit for the student financially in terms of the family's resources financially, but also what it is that the student wants to study as they go and figuring out how they can minimize some of those costs if the family has financial restrictions. Now we're going to get into the post-secondary education exploration and selection domain within the PaCE framework. Again, I'm going to be a little repetitive because these are resources that we have within ISAC that tie into the specific domain. So if I sound like I'm repeating myself, it's because I am, because we're in different domains, but these are resources that can be used across the different domains. And so with Apply, as we've said, it helps with scholarship search, but it can also help with college search to be able to provide information for students in regard to 2- and 4-year institutions, any majors and selections that they may be interested in. If they want to figure out how comfortable they may be with the campus size and the location, how far they want to be from their parents, when they look for those school selections. And then in regards to the PaCE benchmarks, they specifically focus on 10th, 9th through 12th grade, basically, as you can see in the different domains. The different bullet points that are tied to each of the domains are the different domains that are tied to the benchmark. So the different types of post-secondary credentials and institutions by 10th grade, 3 to 5 match schools. Again, if they search for this, they could start to identify what that community college is going to be in the 4-year institutions that they may be interested in. Any general cost that's associated with it. Again, they've already looked into the budgeting piece in 9th grade, and so they could tie this piece in along with it and then estimate whatever post-secondary options that they may have. If they're not interested in necessarily a college degree, but are interested in certificate programs or getting into some kind of trade or apprenticeship program, they could look into what community college tie into some of those apprenticeship programs, and then what the requirements are, what the readiness indicators are for that particular degree or trade or apprenticeship that they may be interested in, so that they could start to plan out their options by 12th grade and then be able to identify the college that ties into whatever type of trade or apprenticeship if post-secondary option with regards to a degree seeking college or university is not of interest for the student. As I mentioned earlier, the College Changes Everything is a campaign that we do starting now in October when the financial aid application opens up. But we also have the conference that we host in July. And so this is a great resource to be able to work with the students and tie in some of the benchmarks that's tied to the post-secondary career expectations piece with regards to completing 3 or more admissions applications by post-secondary institutions by 12th grade. Again, if they're involved in their future and making plans and looking what options they have, they can make that educated decision as they sit with their parents. If maybe they do it on their own as a student and talk to the school counselor or maybe their peers and get some ideas and other additional feedback. And then as a family, the students with their parents can be able to continue to look into additional options for that particular student. But this is a great way in which that they can be able to to be able to provide resources for that student so that they can have more curiosity and options as they navigate the college going aspect. We also have the ISAC transcript exchange that is available. It provides a secure and online process for sharing transcripts, but it also, you could share other information, health records and other things. Lenore has about 3 transcript exchange previews a year in which she hosts and talks to people that are already using it. You can ask questions and view examples of it. There's someone from the transcript exchange that navigates how to use it and how to upload things, what it looks like from the dash as an administrator, frequently asked questions and things like that. And so are a great resource to be able to show that aspect. And in regards to the PaCE framework, it completes 3 or 4 of those admissions process, because if a student is using it to submit the transcripts to a school, it also helps to minimize the cost associated with it, because as a high school student in Illinois, that is a resource that they have available. The college checklist, it serves as a reminder for students on their next steps and what they need to do as they start to plan for college and completing their financial aid applications. The steps are broken down by grade level. There's time-sensitive information in regards to that, but this also with regards to the PaCE framework, the benchmark, it allows for addressing any remedial needs within math and English, so that the student knows what it is that they need to take and how how they need to mitigate some of these issues. If they have to take those remedial classes, maybe they could step up their game with regard to some of those classes while they're still in high school, so that when they test in, they can circumvent those remedial classes and start to take credits, and not just credits that they end up just passing or failing from without additional credits. The Illinois Association of College Admissions Counseling college fairs, or the IACAC college fairs, are available, and a great opportunity for students, not just in 11th or 12th grade, but I would say maybe even in middle school, to start looking into what it is that they're doing, but with specific benchmarks tied to the high school piece. It gives the students some general information around the costs associated with it, timing, entrance exams, any applications, any questions that they may be generating as they converse with the representatives of the different colleges. It gives them exposure to be able to self-advocate, to figure out what it is that they want to explore or study once they get to college, and start asking those questions of those reps that they see in college fairs, to be able to figure out which of the colleges have the degree of interest that they're interested in and which ones don't, so that they know not to waste their time with some of those colleges, and hone in on what resources and times that they may be interested in and the costs associated with them, because they could start to specifically just look at schools within the college degree offering that they're interested in, and not look into other things, or spend their time with what colleges, city colleges or community colleges are near me that I can start with, and then start getting into a 4-year institution. Who do I need to talk to? What questions do I need to ask? What credits do I need to take, and things like that. But the self-advocacy can start there with attending some of these college fairs as well. We also have the college scorecard that is available online. It helps students with addressing issues that they may have with regards to costs, graduation rates, majors, employment outcomes, or anything like that. It's the link is at the bottom to be able to use it as an additional resource to start looking and comparing colleges, and then finding fields of study if that's what the student is interested in, instead of just the college or by college name. The college scorecard, again, it supports the PaCE framework in different types of credentialing from 10th through 12th grade, with the different post-secondary credentials, the affordability information in regards to what their options may be, what it would look like once they graduate as an entry-level salary, any anticipated debt that they have from the degree that they're seeking, any additional educational requirements or costs, or anything like that. Again, it's a number of different information that may be a bit overwhelming to high school students, but it starts to have that discussion and conversation, force them to be able to provide some real life information around budgeting, because this still ties into that aspect as well for the student. We also have on the student portal the post-secondary profiles, which is a tool that students can help to explore those additional post-secondary options. So it's not just one tool that's available to be able to see what institutions are available This one in particular is for Illinois colleges and universities. So if the student isn't looking into going outside of the state for their education and they want to stay within the state, then they could look in those institutions, see what degrees they offer, what colleges, how affordable or not it is for them, have a discussion around the application process, meeting with a college rep, and looking into and planning their career options. And so it gives them a lot of information to start documenting things for them, taking notes for them, whether that's on paper or an Excel spreadsheet, as they navigate talking to different college reps and visiting different colleges and attending different college fairs. With regards to the benchmarks, again, 9 through 12th grade, it hits a lot of those benchmarks across all three of the domains for the students. It can also be tied into creating a resume and a personal statement, creating an academic resume where the students can articulate the different accolades that they've received, any obstacles or any challenges that they've had. And so they can start to document these things and be able to start applying for some of these scholarships and looking into what match with what it is that they have been awarded or they're interested in, to do some internships or job shadowing, or just asking questions around what the day-to-day in is with regards to the career interests that the student may have. But these are different ways in which they start to learn about career clusters, because there may be specific industries that they may be interested in, but there's branches and other things that kind of bloom out of that. My visual for that is the tree trunk, and then the branches that come out from that for the different industries. And so it allows a student to have some more information and a different visual for them to start asking questions and navigating what it is that they want to, what industry they want to get into, what specific branch of that industry they may be particularly interested or inclined to be involved in. And IT is one of those industries that can be across all sectors and all industries be implemented and fused along with accounting. With regards to career exploration and development, that particular domain, we have a new resource that is available, that is the College Information System, or CIS 360, which Anna had a webinar on last month. It is through the Illinois Department of Employment Security. It is free, it's internet-based, and it provides information around career planning exploration resources. And she is tying it to the different benchmarks within PaCE, both at the middle school and the high school. Whether or not it's available at the middle school, it has quite a robust amount of different resources for the students. And the piece that I like the best with it, well, there's a couple of pieces that I like with it. This particular piece is available online. It's available to all Illinois residents, not just high school students. So as an Illinoisan, you can go in and create a profile and start to navigate and see things. And then as you see the clusters, there's a specific piece about the self-advocacy and getting to know yourself piece, which I think is very important for students, because as they start to learn about themselves in the PaCE framework, as they start to implement these things and advocate for themselves and ask questions and attend different career fairs and figure out what industry they want to work in or explore in and get into college in, they start to identify patterns and start to build upon their strengths and assessments of things, and start to build the confidence in things that they need to be able to advocate for themselves. And so it helps a lot with that's a great resource that's also free, that helps with getting the student to be able to work through different modules to get to know themselves. We also have on our portal internship and summer jobs, and I pulled a quick snippet of one that I found on there, and that is the some sales jobs and things like that. It gives you information as to what it is, but it ties into specific benchmarks around workplace alignment and career interests. Finding out that you don't like a specific career is not a bad thing. It's not a failure of anything. It's not a bad thing to be able to find out. It helps to hone in on what it is maybe that you liked. You didn't like this because of this, but you like this aspect of other things. And so it helps to hone in and help a student navigate and work from their assets to be able to assess what it may be a good interest for them. And then if they're just looking for summer jobs or something to do during the summer that maybe doesn't tie in or align with a particular industry that they may be interested in, that's another way to still find out some of their strengths with punctuality, with relationship building, or anything that has to do with that for a job. We also have a couple of resources that I'm going to kind of glance through, but they all tie into the 9th grade, 9th, 10th, 11th grade piece. These are two online. This one, the Illinois High School to Career, and the next one, which is the Illinois College to Career. They both are very intuitive. They both use resources from state-specific information with regards to employment and things like that. But the student can go into them and see if they're interested in a certificate, in a college degree, or an associate's degree. And that helps to be able to align what it is that they may be interested in, and then planning for what courses they may take during the time that they're in high school before they graduate, and have that tie into maybe a college courses if they know what field of study that they're interested in. The college piece gives them the cost of, like, once you have this degree, how much what's your entry level position going to cost, or how much money you're going to make, what's your midpoint, and what are the percentage of people that are in the high end of income within that particular degree. It gives information around other graduation rates and things like that, but it ties into specific pathways for the student to be able to figure out, okay, if I just do an associate's degree, maybe I could do a master's degree, because I could see the different escalation at the income point for the different career paths that I may be interested in. And these career paths are not necessarily degree seeking. It could be certificates. As a journeyman in a particular trade or apprenticeship, you're making X amount of money and you're getting paid while you're both studying the craft. Oh, I skipped over one. The Claim Your Future, as I've kind of alluded to in the past, it still works for students to be able to, get a better idea for what budgeting is and actually implement that, and what cost of living is going to be in their particular area. And information that's available for Claim Your Future is specific to Illinois and specific to the different regions with Illinois. So if you are looking into a budget for rents and what it is in Peoria versus Carbondale versus Illinois, that number is going to be different for the student in those geographic areas. And then year round, we have the ISAC core members that are near peer mentors that help not just students, but also families in not just English, but other languages in post-secondary education exploration. They help with those scholarship searches and the completion of financial aid applications. We have, over the last year and a half, had this ISAC booking, please, where you can go into the student portal, look at ISAC core members, and then plug in your zip code, and then see what ISAC core members in your area, and then book a one-on-one with them, whether that's virtual and in person, for the student. Presentations and workshops that they offer across the state also tie into the PaCE domains in all three of the domains. And then they also support information around PaCE with connecting an adult and building relationships so that the student can have some one-on-one to be able to have those conversations and ask those questions and start to plan and envision themselves in a particular field as they navigate the college process while they're still in high school. The ISAC core members also offer a number of different presentations around college is possible, welcome to high school, again, the relationship on attendance and grades and things like that as they're planning and starting off their freshman year of college, on through benefiting from college credits, taking AP courses or dual credit classes or things like that, so that they can have some credits under their belts before they get to college. The college application process, which ties into those benchmarks with regards to community service, extracurricular activities, looking into and honing in on what those matches are for some of those colleges for the student. And then the college application workshops, again, completing the admissions process for them, some of the general costs within the financial aid process. This is one of the most popular workshops or presentations that the ISAC core members do during the year, because it helps to bring information, some basic information for the student to be able to identify some of the credentials that they may need for the specific industry that they may be interested in. And then they could work with the ISAC core members after that to help with some of the college going process and not just a financial aid application. The financial aid completion workshops, they also have those. And again, they have these workshops so that students have that. And One of the changes that happened with the simplification of the financial aid application is the studentaid.gov account that students and parents now have to sign off on the FAFSA application. And so they do provide workshops in regards to in regards to that process, and they do have them available to be able to help students in a group setting or one-on-one and setting that up. And then managing the cost of college, it gives the students some basic information about taking on debt and loans, and then looking for scholarships and things like that. And so it is a great workshop for the students to be able to participate in. And then again, this is a resource that's available to you. If you've not taken advantage of the ISAC core members, I would highly suggest that you do. And then they do follow up in regards to anything an issue that they may be having with financial aid, any verification or questions around it or anything after that. And as I've alluded to quite a number of times, the Claim Your Future, there's workshops on that they offer that they can do in class as a tie-in to the financial piece. So it's not something that the teacher has to do on their own. It can be a combination of. Professional development hours are also available through us, the professional development team, and accessing the information. There's a request for is posted. It is available. If not, if you have specific time and date, you could always email us and let us know what it is that you need. Next steps with prioritizing the gaps worksheet is having separate meetings to be able to identify which benchmarks you want to take on, what percentage you want to increase it by, what resources are available within your area, and that selection process, and things to consider with regards to the implementation team. What is a top priority? What isn't? What is, maybe third in line for us to take care of, or by us, I mean, as a school, to take care of in order for the students to have the resource that they need to be able to roll out these benchmarks and things like that. As we get into the action plan for the worksheet, some quick examples. This is the shorter version of it because you've done a lot of the hard work if you've prioritized the gaps and taken inventory. Now you're just enforcing or enacting what it is that you implemented or decided to do within your PaCE framework. Ensures that the activities are agreed upon from that second worksheet, and prioritizing the gaps. And it indicates what logistical information is involved with implementing, like what are the things that you need and where does it need to happen? Who needs to be there in order for this benchmark to be executed? The action plan, there is a form for it. It's also available on our website under step 3. There's one for middle school and for high school. It does allow for you to transfer selected benchmarks from one list to the other, and that development in that action plan, it basically is the activity for specific benchmarks. You want to address who's going to do what, where are they going to do it, when are they going to do it, how are they going to be involved with that implementation, any other contact information, when they're going to meet again, and if there's any follow-up, if there's any evaluation sheets, and if there's any pre and post tests or anything like that. All of that should be documented in that form in order for everyone to be on the same page. Career domain examples, again, who's involved in it, what's the role, when will it take place, where will it take place, and what needs to happen. Like if it's a field trip, who's going to be organizing it, what are the fees for it, when is the date and time, location secured, who's collecting what with regards to this, and scheduling buses, picking up or documenting and filing consent forms and things like that is one of the examples. Another one is, again, around advertising and flyers for announcements and blasts and things like that. What's the most efficient way? Is it a combination of things to do? Who's doing it? Is it being sent out in a newsletter? Is it sent out in a text message? Is it sent out in a weekly a reminder? Is it posted on the district website? Is it all of the above? And then who's doing those things? Who's responsible for what aspect of it? Is someone responsible for the content, grammar, editing, and then someone else with posting, and then someone else with removing by a specific deadline, things like that. Some of the best practices associated already in next academic year. Divide the responsibilities among who's a part of it so that everyone is on the same page with it, and have that master list in maybe a shared Google document or something like that that is available for everyone that, you know, as I said, that may be available to meet or can't meet, would be able to see that information. And some of the next steps are setting up time for the team to take action plan for those selected benchmarks. Who's going to roll out what, when is it going to, the deadline for it, and things like that. Once the benchmark has been implemented, again, repeat that third step. So it's a like rinse and repeat cycle that is always ongoing. You want to revisit the inventory, revisit the prioritization plan. And then select new benchmarks. So if this is an ongoing cycle, if you've already, as I said, been doing PaCE, what are the benchmarks that you've not done that you want to kind of take on? It is a continuous loop. It does continues, you just kind of keep doing it things in circles so that you continue to reevaluate and reassess, much like a prior a strategic plan. A strategic plan doesn't just sit and collect dust. It's an ongoing document that you see and see what things need to be tweaked and implemented. You're basically doing the same thing with this PaCE framework. You're always looking to reassess. As I said, there's always changes, new people coming into the geographic area, people leaving, growing, expanding. And so there's always opportunities to be able to bring on new partners, to be able to share additional resources. We have come to the end of our presentation with regards to the resources that we have available. Please take a picture of or scan the QR code so that you can, if you need any CE or PD hours, you can submit them by the 30th, which is a Thursday, by 4:30, because it will be closed after that. And so if you do want to be able to have access to that, please complete your form before then. The link to it is also on the bottom.
Put yourself on mute and take yourself off.
So this is our contact information. I'll go back and put the QR code, but this is the end of the presentation. Thank you. If there's any additional questions, I will look through the Q&A. I'll come off camera so I can see if my computer is working. Thank you.